Hello, everyone. It's great to see you all again today on our next episode of the Wellbeing Specialists. My name is Dr. Ian Kaminskyj, and I'm joined here today by
Tony Neale, and I look after the wellbeing side. I look after wellbeing for individuals and for corporates, and together we are the Wellbeing Specialists.
Awesome. Now we've got a really important topic today, which I'm really keen to sort of discuss with you, and it's all about well-being and spirituality. In fact, Tony's going to be talking about this today, so I'm really looking forward to this. So, Tony, tell us a bit more then about what you mean when you say the words well-being and spirituality.
Thank you for that. What I really mean by that is well-being. There's 4 aspects of well-being. That's the mind, the body, the emotional side, and the spiritual side. So they comprise of the well-being side. All right. Next question.
Okay, so Tony, then sort of what triggered you onto the path of well-being, but more importantly, I suppose, given today's topic, especially towards the spiritual side of things?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I've always been spiritually inclined. I love nature, and I can remember when I was a boy, I was really attracted towards the martial arts. Not that I actually practiced them myself, but it was the mindsets of that martial arts. And I remember some childhood favourite shows called The Samurai. Who could forget The Samurai? But I'm showing my age now, and I can remember another show called Kung Fu. But it showed me that by using the mindset, how much you can control things around you. And it's just having that presence and not letting your mind get out of control. And for me, my passion's always been to help people. That's what I love doing. My wife and I, we run health retreats, and we have clients who come to us in not a really good state, and we're able to help them move forward in their life. And that's what we get so much pleasure in seeing our clients walk away so well.
Awesome. And there's been some interesting statistics mentioned recently with Beyond Blue, saying that over 1 million Australians are depressed currently. What are your thoughts about those sort of worrying statistics, Tony?
Well, I think it's probably more now since we've had the lockdown and COVID. It all sort of goes back to lifestyle. It's the lifestyle and the way how you nurture your mind's garden. That's how I look at it. It's what you allow to go into your mind as input. If you keep on having the same sort of things in your mind, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, guess what? That's what sets your lifestyle. So it's really important, in my view, is to set up your lifestyle so that you can be the best that you can be. And when people get depressed, it's because they're not happy with themselves. And that, I ask another question, is what are the 2 major things that are so important for you? And they are, number 1, to be happy. And number 2 is to be healthy. Those 2 things alone are so important to practice each and every day.
Just going back one step, though, you're talking about, what's going in is so important for you in terms of how you feel, your perceptions, and so on. So I remember a very famous statement from when I was studying IT, going back quite a while ago, and it was called GIGO. Garbage in, garbage out. Would you tend to agree with that statement in this context?
Absolutely. And it's what you allow your mind to entertain. Do you sort of watch things which are not uplifting to you, that are sad, or do you watch things which inspire you and make you want to be able to sort of live life, to feel really good about yourself, and also to get your enthusiasm up? that's something that's really important, in my opinion.
And what about, Tony, the people you hang around with? You know, I've heard the phrase many times that, you know, we tend to become the average of the 5 closest people that we see on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Would you tend to agree with that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's so important to have a company around you who are nurturing and supporting. And also think of it as they're gifted so that they can help you move forward. It's so important to find coaches and mentors who can see things that you can't see to bring the best out of you. So that to me is another important thing. And who you hang around with is so important. If you hang around with somebody who's always depressed and looking at the bad side of the world, guess what? It's going to come back on you. It's always better to try as best you can to be in a company of people who've got the same sort of mindset as you, and as thinking of well-being and happiness as one of the important drivers of life.
It can help remind me of one of my most favourite sayings actually about this, Tony. You know, it's hard to soar like an eagle when you surround yourself with turkeys.
I reckon that's a great. I love that one. We frame that one.
Okay, and that sort of ties us into the really important concept of self-worth.
Yes.
You know, so in this context, how important is self-worth, Tony, firstly? And then secondly, can you give us a couple of really powerful tips to help, you know, anyone improve their self-worth big time?
Well, that's a big one. It's your self-worth is sometimes a mirror image of what you think other people see you as. And often we always see the worst, because we want to be so perfect, but perfection's an illusion. The thing that you want to have a look at is, what are the 10 good things that you've done during the day, and have a look at those sort of 10 things, and then say, well, what are the areas that I need to improve in? And you'll probably find that the things that you want to improve on is probably 2 or 3 things, but the good things that you've done during the day is probably 10. So everything's out of sync. And the thing is, we focus on those 3 things that we can improve on too much. So we've got to get the right balance. It's all to do with moderation. And I think it's very important that we start thinking about having daily journals or an area where we can actually measure what we're doing and what we're thinking, right? So I think that's so important.
So would you say then the attitude of gratitude is very important here, Tony?
Absolutely. And just answer your question, I've only half answered it.
Oh, sorry.
Because I went down a little track there. But the thing that is so important for self-worth, if we go to the science and we go to Decky and Ryan, who are eminent psychologists, they developed the self-determination theory. And in there's 3 criteria, and that's to have independence. The second one there is to feel as though you're belonging, right? And the third one there is you're a master at something. And they can be a master at anything. You could be a master cook, a master table tennis player, a master player on the flute. It doesn't matter as long as you're a master at something. And those 3 strengths are so important. Because you think about it, if you don't belong, you finish up become alienated. If you haven't got independence and can't make decisions by yourself, then you've lost your freedom. And the third one is mastery, to be excellent at something. So you can be proud of something that you do. So to me, those are three elements that we can sort of look at our lives and say, wow, what am I good at? Oh, I'm good at NLP. Oh, I'm good at hypnosis. Oh, I'm good at well-being. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as you're good at something. And that's the thing, the mastery, which is something. And then you can focus on those areas. And that's what's uplifting. So when you look at depression, it's because one of those three elements is missing. It's gone down.
So what you're saying then is another strategy to help people improve their self-worth is to focus on those three areas and nurture those.
Absolutely. And as we go a little bit further in, I'll talk a little bit more about character strengths. And these are the three character strengths that you could work on. Okay, over to you. Next one.
Now, it's important you're saying to be able to be assertive and to say no to people who it's important to say no to for whatever reason.
Yep.
Can you tell us a bit more about why this is so important, particularly from a self-worth point of view, for example, and maybe give us a couple of tips on how to actually achieve this more easily and more effectively, Tony?
Yeah, when you think about it, if somebody's bullying you or over assertive, in other words, you can't make a decision, you lose your independence, you lose your freedom. So one of the things that is a very simple sort of technique is it's to more or less notice it straight away. If somebody's trying to bully you or over assertive, stop them. Just go with your hand, stop there, and just call out the virtue that you'd like to see in them. Say, for instance, I'd like to see more respect. Or respect, is it okay if you respect my opinion on this? Something like that. But you don't have to sort of swing punches at them. You just got to stand your ground and just nominate the character strength that you'd like them to show. And it's often respect is a good one that you can talk about. And I think that's so important that you'll be able to stand your ground and not be bullied. I've been in a situation where at my workplace, not my current one, but at a past one where I got bullied by my boss. And that's something that can happen. And it's where you've got to be able to say no. And what you can do is you can say no in a very tactful way. For instance, if your boss comes and says to you, I want this report now, you can say, yes, boss, if you give me the resources to do this, I can do it for you as quick as possible. And then you ask your boss, then you talk to your boss and define what are the resources that you need to get this thing done as quick as possible. See, that's another way of being able to, that's an example of how you can be tactful in handling assertive people.
So you're not saying no, you're just saying, I'm happy to assist you as long as I have these resources.
That's right, you're tactful, especially if he's the boss, your boss. Because you find that most people leave because they don't get on with their boss. However, if you can manage your boss in a tactful way, then it'll also help the relationship, because the boss will start thinking twice before he asks you for something difficult.
It sort of reminds me of a language pattern in NLP,
yes.
Which I might just mention here briefly, which was along the lines of, how can you disagree with someone, but in a way that's not going to upset them, or in a very tactful way, as you were saying before. And it's sort of avoiding words like but, So, for example,
yes, no.
Yes, so you might ask me something and I might say, well, yes, I can see what you're saying, but I don't want to do it, for example, or whatever it might be. And they recommend that you replace the word but with and.
Yes.
So you might sort of say things like, look, I really appreciate your point of view, Tony, and I actually reckon that it's, possibly better done this way, or, I prefer this, or whatever it might be. So the and seems to be a much more powerful, creating a bridge rather than creating a wall or an obstacle between yourself and the other person. That's really awesome. So tell us a bit more then, and I think we're going to have a demonstration, I think, very soon too. But tell us a bit more about the keys to spiritual well-being, and maybe tell us about the demonstration as well.
I think one of the things about spiritual well-being is, what do we mean by spirit? What I'm meaning by spirit is to be one with nature. And so you can honour your own spirit by being in nature. For instance, go for a nice walk, go to a garden, notice what nature's around you. If you nurture the spirit within you, it'll shine. And that's what you want to be able to do. You want to look after your inner spirit. And that's also recognizing in yourself that you are important. And that's part of your self-worth. Because what you're saying is, I'm going to spend sacred time with nature so that I can be the best that I can be. And so that sacred time with spirit might also mean meditating or just being in a mindful state. You were going to say something else?
I was going to say, so do you recommend like a minimum time frame each day to do this, Tony? What are your suggestions there?
Look, I think it needs to be done daily. I usually go 20 minutes minimum, but the more that you can do, the better. If you can go for walks, or my wife and I, what we'll do is we'll go for a drive down Seaford, and we like to paddle in the water, and we honour our spirits just by bathing our feet in the water.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you wouldn't necessarily only do that by yourself. You would do that with with your.
Oh yes, you can do it with your family and friends.
Yeah.
But the thing is, also, you need to do it with yourself, because yourself is your best friend. You need to have the sacred time. You need to have a little bit of time where you do some reflection. It can be meditation or mindfulness. Just that little bit of time where, for instance, remember at the start, maybe you look at the 10 things that you did really well yesterday and sort of bathe in that for a while, and then look at the 3 things that you need to improve and work out a little plan how you can improve those things. See, that's nurturing your soul. Instead of punishing yourself, you're sort of saying, okay, I did 10 things good, there's 3 things I need to improve on. And then you just have a little plan to work on it. To me, that's being gentle with yourself. You're not punishing yourself, building yourself up because you mucked up 3 things.
And it's a little bit like, when you're working with young children, like we've all had young children at some point, and it's amazing how positive praise and encouragement is so much more powerful than being negative and shouting at them and criticizing them, isn't it?
Absolutely. The thing that is really good that I've found with children and adults is to acknowledge the strength that you see them. If you see somebody who's working with great excellence, then call it out. Say, Ian, I've noticed that excellence that you've been doing with your hypnosis work. Your 10 clients are all, they're all coming good. And it's because of your excellence you'll be able to do that quickly, and you've made a big difference to them. That's the type of an example. Or with a child, if you see them clean up some toys. Joe, that was great that you went and you tidied up all the toys. That was very helpful. And you can see the strengths there, it's the helpfulness.
Do you also
go on.
Sorry. Do you also recommend? I've heard this phrase many times. What's called the feedback sandwich.
Yes.
When you've got someone who you may need to give them some words of improvement, for example.
Right. Yeah. One of the strategies with the virtues is is the actual virtues language. And one of those things is that if it's something where it's a teachable moment, you might be a child or it might be a colleague. And you could say, for instance, they had a go at something and they messed it up. You could say to them, oh, it was great that you had a go at it. I know you haven't had much experience with this before, but it was great that you had a go at it. What you can do as an improvement next time is to talk to Joe, and Joe's an expert in that area. He'll show you how to do it. And so I'm looking forward to the next time that you're going to do this, because I know that if you work with Joe, that's going to be absolutely spectacular. That's an example of like doing the sandwich, which is good.
So we're going to do a demo today. I'm really looking forward to our demo.
Yes, we are. So before we run out of time, because I'm looking at the time, we're getting close to the top of the hour. But what I'd like to do, if it's okay, is that I'm just going to share my screen. So just bear with me for a second while I do that. Sure. Play some music. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. So can you see my second screen coming up?
Yes, something's happening.
Coming. Yes. Okay.
There we go.
So this is one of the things that is so important to nurture your mindset and also your spirit. To me, if you have a look at that picture, think of it as your mind. Are you letting your mind be that left picture, which is all those weeds? Or are you letting your mind be a beautiful garden? That's something for us to think about. What are we putting into our minds, and what is our mind producing? And that sort of goes back to what you said before, garbage in, garbage out. Isn't it? So
what it's saying though, Tony, is that we do have a lot of control over this, don't we?
Absolutely. Because we have absolute control of what we think. We've got the power and ability to entertain or dismiss any thought that we choose. So think about that. So if we get a negative thought, we can dismiss it straight away. If we've got a positive one, we want to bathe in it, don't we? So this is something that's really important for us, but it's also important for our spirit too. Because if we're in the area of beauty, then that's going to nurture our spirit. So be in surrounds with nice people and nice environment. When you do that, you're nurturing your spirit. So let me just keep going. Oops. So what I just mentioned before, you cultivate your mind to get the right mindset. So let's just talk about a few of the character strengths. So hopefully everyone can see that screen, or I might be able to make it a little bit bigger.
It's a bit hard to read, Tony.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm just making it big, blowing it up. But I'll just read out the practice. This is a very important one. I think one of the key ones for mindset, and that's to be mindful. You've got to notice something before you can do something. Otherwise, you're in autopilot. You want to be in control and be able to respond rather than react. Now, just let me read out the practice of mindfulness. I seek always to be awake and aware. I am considerate of the needs of others. I keep a pace of grace. I do not allow emotions and impulses to rule me. I cultivate my spiritual awareness with daily reflections. I am a lifelong learner. It keeps me present. So that to me is one of the most important ones of the whole lot of character strengths. So if we nurture that and we practice that, we'll be very good. And so there's the practice. So if you were to do those 6 practices each and every day, your mindfulness would increase.
Just to help out listeners, Tony, I was going to say, can we put maybe a copy of that?
Yes,
practice
we'll do that.
underneath the video?
Absolutely. So that can be part of our offerings when we finish.
Yep.
The next one is self-discipline. The self-discipline one is so important because it's the one that keeps us under control. Because otherwise we run off the rails and we get distracted and we go over there and we do this and we do that and we forget to be mindful. The self-discipline one is so important. Let me read this one out for you. I'll just be very quick. I have the self-control to make wise choices. I resist distractions. I persevere in meeting my goals. I get things done. I have the strength to be tactful. I carefully cultivate my character. It is the gardener of my soul. Isn't that so true? So just imagine if you're able to sort of get this one, build that one up. Just imagine how good you'd be. Let me just keep pushing on. This one here is a really good one because this one here is a healing strength for you. The practice of forgiveness. I overlook mistakes. I free myself from pain and resentment. I am willing to heal the past. I find it in my heart to give others another chance. I use guilt only as a signal of change. I accept divine redemption. I have the power to change for the better. I'm thankful for the gift of forgiveness. It lightens my soul. Isn't that so true?
And I've heard the term before, just talking about forgiveness, Tony, that if you forgive others, you're also forgiving yourself, but also able to then let go of that hurt.
That's so right, because that, I think that bottom line sums it all up. It lightens my spirit. People hold on to resentments and things that have been done wrong for them for 20 years or 30 years. You know, for instance, with marriage breakup, there's one of the partners will just be in this begrudging mood of resentment. You know, my partner did this to me, or it's all my partner's fault, and it goes for 20 years. Okay. Okay, you do it for a couple of weeks. Let it go. Start the past. Get on with your life. Otherwise, what you actually do is, if you don't forgive yourself, you finish up giving yourself disease. So remember this first one. I free myself from pain and resentment. I am willing to heal the past. And that's also healing yourself as well as the other person. Isn't that so powerful?
Fantastic.
Think of that. And so we've all got... let me keep going. I'm just about finished. And I think one of the most important ones is gratitude. This is the one which I mentioned before. If you can just get this into your life each and every day, be happy. Happiness is one of the keys. It's the gratitude. If you be happy, you'll be healthy. Because happiness, if you have a look at the scientific proof, it creates all the happy chemicals in your body. And when you have happy chemicals in your body, what happens, Ian? It heals you. It heals you.
Well, I've actually heard it said a number of times, Tony. I'm just wondering what your thoughts on this. That people who are unwell, that if they sort of watch a lot of funny videos or, that tends to help them with their recovery.
It absolutely does. And you may have heard that there are therapists called laughing therapists. Now, think about it. If we've got the power and ability to insert any thought in our mind, what's stopping us from putting happiness and gratitude into our thoughts? Nothing. We could do that each and every day. Can you imagine how you'd feel if you woke up in the morning and just say, boy, am I going to have a happy day today? and you start thinking about something that you did which was so happy and, you know, it caused laughter, how that would be for you. That would set you up for the whole day, wouldn't it, Ian?
It'd be pretty awesome.
That's right. You'd be in such a good mood. You'd be, every time you go past somebody, you'd be smiling and just say, what a great day it is. What a great day to be alive.
And would you say that when you're in that really happy, positive state, that you can deal almost with anything that life throws at you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you actually perform better when you are happy, because you've got the happy chemicals working for you. And the other thing too is you're not so stressed. Because when you have stress and anxiety, it closes up your frontal lobe of your brain. But when you're happy, you think better. You are better.
Fantastic.
I think I've got one more. Yeah, I've got one more and then we can close. And I think this one's a really good one for us. And this is the one that we keep, no matter what happens, if we have bad things happen to us, have resilience. Let me read it to you. When trouble comes, I stay strong. I have the flexibility to bounce back. I have the faith to overcome. I find comfort in community. I trust hardship to cultivate my character. I fully engage in living. Resilience keeps me growing. Isn't that so true, Ian?
Unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
That's how we can bounce back. So that's what I'd like to share with everybody. And I'd love to, what I'll do is I'll put these slides up for everyone to jump onto our Facebook, and you can look at it more. And if you want to contact me or Ian to talk more about how important well-being is for your life, please do so. So
how do they contact
a question for you, Ian?
I was going to say, if they wanted to contact you specifically, Tony, with more questions about these virtues or spirituality, because this is sort of your baby, how do they do that, Tony?
Well, they can do it two ways. They can just jump onto our Facebook, which we've got, which we'll sling up very shortly, or they can go to my website, which is a very easy one to remember, wellbeinghealthretreats.com, and there's a contact form there. Also, take advantage of our website because we've got free stress assessments. So my wife and I, we love to give you the free assessment. We'll give you a 1-hour consultation, absolutely free. So awesome. Just jump onto our website, contact us through either the Facebook, which is we're going to flash up very shortly, or just jump to my website. So we love helping people, and so we'd love to see everybody who needs help. So thank you, Ian.
Again, Tony, you're going to put actually these those slides underneath this live today?
Yes, I will. I'll do that.
Wonderful. Then people can then just go through those practices you mentioned before, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. And I'd love everyone to start practicing those ones, and everyone to start up our our daily reflection. Just remember what Ian and I just said. If you just had a look at the, just list 10 things you did yesterday and 3 things that you'd like to improve the day after, that you did. Just imagine how good you're going to be, and you just focus on little steps, baby steps. Even if you're 1% better than yesterday, that's a big difference, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
And also, one of the key things is to remember 2 things. Just remember 2 things. Be happy, because you've got the choice to be happy, and choose to be healthy. 2 things. That's simple, isn't it?
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Thanks so much, Tony. Much appreciate your words of wisdom today. We'll just wrap things up there. So if any of you have any questions or queries about anything we've discussed today, especially these beautiful virtues that Tony's been talking about, just put them underneath the actual the live or under this particular video, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. So Tony, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom today.
It's been my absolute pleasure. And not to forget, we've got another show coming on. We've got...
So when's our next one, Tony?
January the 21st on a Thursday. So mark that in your calendars.
We've got a special guest coming with us.
Perhaps Ian, you can have you got can you just tell us a little bit about Estelle before we finish?
We want to keep everyone in suspense, I think, Tony, but just a very brief indication. She actually is a master yoga teacher.
Wow.
And also, yeah, specializes also in helping people with binge eating challenges. So we're really looking forward to having Esther on the program. And again, if you have any questions on any of those areas, yoga, for example, or binge eating, just maybe start putting them into the chat, or put a comment in on our page, and we'll sort of collect them all together, you know, for Esther to be able to answer on the actual program. But I'm looking forward to that. Are you looking forward to that, Tony?
Absolutely. And before I leave, I've got 2 comments. I got a comment from Stephen. These guys have an amazing amount of knowledge. Happy New Year, Tony and Ian. And I've got another comment there. I use a diary to say what I did during the day, listing my positives for the day. Yeah, it's what we want, isn't it? So
well done.
Thank you very much, listeners and audience, for those comments. And we're so happy that we can bring this to you, and we really want to make a difference to the world. And this is a global program. It's just not just for our little local Melbourne. It's everywhere, right? And we wanted to get it out.
Excellent. Okay, well, till the 21st, we hope you're well, happy, and enjoying life. And we'll look forward to catching up with you then. Thank you so much, Tony, again. Bye for now.
Thank you. Now, just a second while I put up the outro. So if you want to find us, there we are. Right? All right, then. Everybody, you take care, and we love you. See you next January the 21st. We can't wait. Okay, bye.
Bye now.